Okay, hello, welcome everyone. This is an introductory video for my sections of Math 219. I'm Clark Bray, and so if you're watching this, probably you're enrolled in one of my sections. I'm looking forward to working with you in this semester in this course. Okay, so we're going to talk through some logistics. How does the course operate? How are things organized? That sort of thing. And I'm also going to spend some time talking about general advice for how to do well in this course. And I think both of these are important topics to discuss. Okay, so let's see. We'll just dive right in. The first thing I want to point out is that if you are thinking about a math major, you don't have to come talk to me, but I think it would be a good idea just as a quick double check. It's no big deal. We'll just talk about your background and what choices have you made with courses so far, and what are you going to make next. And I can just kind of I might be able to give you a useful little bit of advice for where you are at the moment. Okay. All right. So in terms of this course, one of the most important things, of course, is the class website. Here it is. This is the link that will get you to the class website. Now, if you're watching this video as prompted by an email from me announcing this video, presumably I will have included this link in that email. I hope I have the presence of mind to do that when I send that email, probably later today. Okay. Anyway, either way, make sure to bookmark this link. There's a very important bunch of information there. You're going to want to make sure to read all of the discussions on this website. That means, not just on the main page. There's basically nothing on the main page but links. But at all of those links, there's a lot of discussion, and it's all really quite important. And then, also click around on the links and familiarize yourself with what you can find where. Okay, so let's take a look at that website. Here it is. This is the course website for Math 219 for this semester. And let's see here. You'll see my name right here. Here's my email address. This is a link to my class website. I distinguish between the course website, which applies to all sections of the course, versus my class website, which only applies just to my sections. So both apply to you, of course. All right, so we're going to start with the course website. Let's see. You see there is another instructor, Professor Bezemic, and I don't have a link yet to his. I think he's going to be using a Canvas site, so unfortunately my students won't be able to access, but I don't think he'll have anything there that you'll need. So this is largely for just convenience. And here's various links. We're just going to go through and click through these. Not all of them, but some of them one at a time. We'll start with the content syllabus. So this shows all of the material that will be covered in the course, assumed in the course, etc. So make sure to read all of this text. You'll notice there's some discussions about exactly how to interpret what's written here, what you're responsible for. There's a little quick discussion of what AHP means. You'll notice that some of the exercises listed here are indicated as AHP. So this is a separate PDF file, which you can find in the course materials section of this site. I'll point that out in a few minutes. There's a discussion of prerequisites, right? So we're going to assume that you are good, by which I mean really, truly proficient, comfortably proficient with all the material in the prerequisite trail. So, of course, as you know, this course has a linear algebra prereq, but linear algebra has a single variable calculus prereq, which has a high school algebra prereq, and you keep tracing it back. And so I'm going to assume that you're good with all of this. Okay, now, good news. In a linear algebra class, there is some relatively, intricate stuff like Jordan canonical form. We're not going to use Jordan canonical form in this class at all. But we are going to make significant use of linear transformations. So make sure you're really comfortable. What's a linear transformation? Make sure you're comfortable with how they relate to matrices. And there's several things to say about that, right? This is significant. This is non-trivial thing. So make sure you're comfortable with all of that. And then I'm going to say standard geometric examples like rotations and reflections. I have noticed that a lot of students coming into Math 219 are maybe a little shaky on how to use matrices and linear transformations to represent rotations and reflections. I will say a little bit about it in class early on. I forget exactly, first, second, or third day, something like that, pretty early. But we're not going to spend a ton of class time on that. So it will be on you to combine what we will say in class with what you remember from Math 218. Maybe pull out your old 218 textbook, or 221 if you took that, and maybe work out some examples. And make sure that you are good with this stuff. I'll also point out, this is a great topic to ask me about in office hours. If after, doing as I just described, studying what we talk about in this class and, reviewing from 218, if you still don't feel like you understand how to do rotations and reflections, ask me in office hours. I'll be very happy to discuss. Okay, and then, continuing, make sure you're good with derivatives and integrals. I mean, that stuff just doesn't go away. Single variable calculus is bonkers important and just keeps being super duper important. The last thing that I comment here is the angle addition formulas for sine and cosine. These are just quite important. They come up significantly, and somehow it seems that high school trig classes have decided that students don't need to know this anymore. I don't know who or when that decision was made, but it didn't ask me about it. And I think students taking a class like this, there is enough geometry in a class like this, and geometry very often means trig's going to come up, and when trig comes up, the angle addition formulas are just very useful. So please make sure that you know these just for sine and cosine. That's all. You don't have to learn the cotangent angle addition formula. Nothing obscure. Okay. All right. Okay, so moving along, you'll see that there's a list of book sections by number and by title. You'll see also that there's a list of exercises. Sorry about that. List of exercises here in this next column. There we go. List of exercises. Roughly speaking, the big idea is that when we finish, for example, that section, as I will indicate in a way that I'll describe in a minute, when we finish that section, then these exercises will be assigned for that homework assignment. So this is how you will identify what the homework assignment, specific homework assignments are. So you're going to be referring to this file regularly. Again, just a quick reminder, you get to it from the course website by clicking top left right here, content syllabus. Okay. All right, now a couple other things to say. These last two columns, included and excluded, these are representing ways in which this course differs from the book. So a couple of things about that. There are some topics that we're going to include in this course that are part of the course material that you're responsible for. They just don't happen to be in the book, which is, a little unfortunate, but this is hard to avoid. It's hard to find a book that has exactly, no more, no less, exactly what we want to be covered for our course. So no big deal. But anyway, those will be listed here. So in particular, when we talk about the cross product, heads up, you will need to specifically refer to the lectures and, my lecture notes and lecture recordings for discussions of this thing called the 2D wedge product, and we'll talk about that, in that section coming up pretty soon. So the book will not give you what you need for that topic or for other topics listed in this column. The excluded material refers to stuff, it's kind of sort of the opposite. It's stuff that's in the book but is not part of the course, right? So, again, the books aren't tailored for individual courses, and this book, for example, has a discussion of hyperspherical coordinates, which, I'm sure is very cool. But it's not part of Math 219, and you can just skip that section if you'd like. You're also welcome to look at it if you'd like, but you're not responsible for it. Okay, and so likewise, the other things listed in that column. Okay, so I think that covers what we need to say about this. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's talk about course grades. Well, that's a big deal. I'm sure you all are all interested in how this is going to go. The big idea is that everything in this course that is graded will be converted to grades on what I'm going to call the 4-point scale. So 4-point scale is, you're probably familiar. 4.0 means A, 3.0 means B. B plus is 3.3. So y'all know how that works. So every graded item or category of graded item will be converted to the 4-point scale. And then the way we compute your grade for the course is we just do a weighted average of all of those grades, emphasizing weighted average on the 4-point scale. So not the raw scores, but specifically on the 4-point scale. Okay, so if you don't know what a weighted average is, you can click on this link and get a discussion. We'll actually talk about what weighted averages are later in the course as a kind of a segue into a cool math idea that's relevant to the course. But anyway, easy to just click on that link and see how that works. And in particular, once you compute that weighted average, your average will fall into one of these bins. So, for example, maybe you end up with a course weighted average of, let's say, 3.61, let's just say. And if you get that 3.61 weighted average, well, then your course grade is A-. So it's a nice and simple little formula, right? Everything's on the familiar 4-point scale. We have these fairly natural bins that correspond pretty naturally to letter grades. Boom, that's your letter grade. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So, by the way, so a little bit of discussion about where these bins come from. You'll notice that this bin for B is centered at 3.0. And to say it a little bit differently, these are the real numbers that are closer to 3.0 than any of the other standard 4-point scale grades. So, for example, 3.14 is closer to 3.0 than it is to 3.3. So that's why 3.14 is in the B range, not the B plus range, because it's closer to B 3.0 than it is to B plus 3.3. So that's the big idea for most of this. You'll notice some deviations from this pattern when you get to the extremes. This is because of a phenomenon of statistics that when you average numbers, distributions tend to pinch inward. So I did a study quite a few years ago where I took a huge amount of actual live student data and averaged and looked at how grades were turning out and tailored these bins so that they would work the way I think is most appropriate. So anyway, it's all very deliberate. Okay, so that's how grades work. Here's how the weights break down. The midterms will count for 60% of the grade. The final will count for 30% of the grade. And then all instructors have some flexibility with this remaining 10%. Every instructor makes their own decisions on how to do this extra 10%. So now we'll talk about the details of how I'll work within these requirements. when we get over to the class webpage. But anyway, that's the big picture. And again, this applies to all sections of the course. There's a few other things to discuss in here. I think reading should be satisfactory here, so please do make sure to read all of this stuff. Oh, look at this. There's the exactly the example that I just talked through. It was an inadvertent coincidence. And anyway, make sure to read all this stuff. It's all very important. You want to make sure you understand how course grades work. If you have any questions about any of this business about course grades, come talk to me. I'll be very, very happy to explain and clarify. No problem. Just let me know. Office hours, for example, would be a great time to come and discuss. Okay, moving along. Let's see here. So, okay, there's a lot to say, but general policies, again, I'm going to leave this to all be read. There's too much to go through. And the thing is, this is all really important. So do make sure that you read all of that, but I can't go through it all point by point. Likewise, in this course materials folder, there's some useful stuff. Most probably importantly, this is where you'll find that AHP file. This is where the homework exercises listed as AHP on the content syllabus. This is where you'll actually find them, this file right here. Okay. Alrighty, let's see here. Grade scope is how we'll do grading in this course. Scoring of actual graded items. So that includes the homework and the midterms. Technically the final, but per department policy, we don't return the final, so you'll be unaware. But anyway, exams and homeworks in this class will all be done by way of grade scope. So there's a link. Make sure you're familiar with how to use that. Let's see here. This early announcements page doesn't have anything on it right now because as of this recording, I haven't sent any announcements. But by the time you receive this, I will have made the announcement, in particular the announcement of this recording. So anyway, when you click on that, you'll see the email that I will have just sent. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's see here. So let's look at this stuff on the right. So learning expectations, this is a very important, in fact, just in general, this whole section, this whole, how to do well in this course. That sounds important, right? I know everyone here wants to do well in this course. So anyway, make sure to correspondingly, spend time with all of this. Make sure you familiarize yourself. So by learning expectations, what do we want you to learn? And I'm going to expound on the following more in a bit, but this is what this course is about. It's about ideas and reasoning. That's what we do here, right? So just for comparison purposes, a lot of people think math is about knowing formulas and executing algorithms. And, that's part of the story, I guess, but it's not really fundamentally what the course is about. So please, I'm not saying to ignore formulas and algorithms. Obviously, that's going to be very, very important. But just don't think that that's enough. What we are here for, what this course is fundamentally about is ideas and reasoning. So just as a comparison, when you take a history class, sure, you're going to have to know some names and some dates and some, what I'll call data, right? Yeah, you have to know various facts, right, about history. But that's not usually what a history course is really about. A history course, and I'm not going to go out on a limb and expose my ignorance about what history is about. I probably wouldn't say that very ideally. But roughly speaking, I have the idea, forgive me if I get this wrong, that history is largely about understanding forces. Why did so-and-so invade such and such a country? And why did the economy of this other country do so well or do so poorly? And understanding reason, what caused what, right? That kind of thing. It's not just names and dates. And, same with math, right? So anyway, that's the big point. Everything that follows here is sort of specific, either related details or related points. This, again, all really good stuff. I hope you'll read this. I hope you'll take this all very seriously. Anyway, I wish I had time to talk through all of it, but we don't. So make sure to read all that. Course design and strategy. This also is something I'm going to talk about more in a bit. So maybe I will, again, just refer you to read all of this. Make sure that you read this. Again, very, very important. I'll hit the highlights real quick. Most students are accustomed to learning in class. And depending on the material, that might be enough time to learn the material for that course. This is not one of those courses. There's just way too much material. There's not enough class time to be able to, for all of the learning to happen in this course. There's just too much. So what we have to do in a course like this, and by the way, a lot of math classes do this. They might not even explicitly say so, but it's sort of understood. Excuse me. What we're going to do is we're not going to design the class meetings where you'll learn as much as possible in class, because that's just not the goal. The goal is to use our class time in such a way as to allow you to maximize how much you will learn overall, right? Not just how much you learn in class, but how much you can learn outside of class. Right? So lectures are not assumed to be stuff that you'll just instantly understand right there on the spot, in person, present in the class. You're going to do some learning in class, right? But to some extent, what you will see in class is just one step of a multi-step process of learning the material that will be discussed in class. So, excuse me, I am a big believer that the best way to learn as much as possible, which again is what we're here for, that's what we sort of have to do, given how much material there is. I think students should always preview the material before class on your own. So read through the book, read through the lecture notes. You're not going to understand all of it, of course, right? But you'll get a big picture idea. Maybe you understand the foundations, the fundamentals. What are we doing? What's the goal? That kind of thing. And maybe kind of some big picture understanding of what follows, but probably not all the details and probably not the bigger ideas. With that advantage, though, that will help you when you come and pay attention in class, right? So knowing kind of what's going on and where we're going and what the big picture strategy is, it will give you a huge advantage as we go through greater details in class. And you still, of course, won't really learn everything. You learn as much as you can. It's not going to be everything. So then step 3 is to review everything extensively after class, right? And this is where you should go for thoroughness and details and try to understand every single little thing. So you'll have the advantage of what you learned in class. You'll have the advantage of the recordings of class lectures. I'll be video recording all of my class lectures, posting them on my YouTube channel. We'll talk about those details in a bit. So rewatch certain portions of the lectures. Read your own lecture notes. Read the book. Right? I like the book, by the way. It's a pretty good book, and I hope you'll like my class lecture notes that I'll have available. They're already posted, and again, I'll point those out in a minute. So again, 3-step process. This is what we're doing, and keep in mind, it's not just that I recommend that you do these, this 3-step approach to learning. It's that everything in this course is designed on the assumption that you will be doing that. So if you're not doing this 3-step process, then the lectures are going to go too fast for you. For example, if you didn't preview the material. That wasn't the intention, right? And so no surprise, perhaps, that if you come in unprepared, then you're not going to get as much out of the experience of class. And again, if you're not reviewing the material afterwards, well, again, the material presented in class will come at you super duper fast. And I'm not expecting students to understand all of it in class. I am expecting and assuming that you will be doing this review after the fact. Okay, so very important stuff. Please keep all that in mind very seriously. So course resources, again, a lot to read here, just for sort of, it's vaguely poetic. I like to list, you yourself are your primary resource in this class. You're in charge. You're responsible, right? So you have to make active decisions about, am I learning this material well enough? Am I making good enough use of all the resources? And be honest with yourself, right? So this is a challenging thing to do. We all have, little, figuratively speaking anyway, little angel and demon on our shoulders. And you gotta, make sure that you listen to the angel that is encouraging you to dig more deeply and ignore the devil that says, it's good enough. It's fine. It probably doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. So make sure that you take an active role in being responsible for your own learning. Again, good textbook. I like it. I hope you like my class notes. I like them. Et cetera, et cetera. I notice I list myself as your third resource. And again, I think that's an important note, right? So I can't do the learning for you, right? So my goal is to give you as many resources as possible and to be as helpful as I can in class and as helpful as I can in office hours. That's all I can do, right? So anyway, et cetera, et cetera. Help Room is a great resource. Make sure to make use of this. You can click at this link right here to get the schedule. I'm not entirely sure that it's posted yet, but it should be very soon. It may already be. The Help Room is a nice resource. No appointment necessary. Just show up and ask questions. And the Help Room staffers are experienced undergrads in most cases. Some are grad students. But people who have taken this course and done well. And so they're just waiting for someone to show up and ask them a question that they can help with. So lovely resource. And again, no appointment necessary. Just walk in. I think it's worth pointing out that study groups, there we go. Study groups are fantastic. I learned more, I think as an undergrad, I learned more from my study groups than I did in classes. Now, obviously, it was all with the advantage of having learned foundations and the big ideas in class. Never would have been possible without the lectures, of course. And, no disrespect to my teachers who were all excellent. But just the way learning works is it happens in stages over periods of time. And that's what study groups did for me, and I hope will do for you as well, is you can spend gobs and gobs of time working with a study group. You benefit from them, they benefit from you, everybody wins. So if you have a group of people you can work with effectively, great. If you don't, I'm a big fan of this program called Study Connect, organized by the Academic Resource Center. Roughly speaking, you sign up for it, and they just put you in touch with other students who are also looking for study buddies. So it's extremely simple but powerful method that you can find other students to work with. Okay. All righty. Gosh, there's so many things to say. I'm not going to talk through this paragraph, but this is, I think, a good way to make specific, particular use of a study group is to try to get dialogue going, get a back and forth, discuss an idea. What I used to do, one of my tricks, used to be that I would deliberately make a statement that was overly broad, possibly not even accurate, and just kind of throw that out there to the group and then ask for responses. And then the point is that students who are more knowledgeable about that particular topic will point out my mistake. And then I can say, oh, okay, well, when exactly does this exception come up? Well, what are the conditions, and what do I need to be worried about? Are there any other conditions that we need to worry about? And you just get a little back and forth going, and sometimes you'll get a disagreement, which is great because then one way or the other, someone's going to learn that they were wrong. And so this is a great way to uncover misunderstandings. It's a great way to get good ideas, out there, mixing it up. And the good ideas bubble to the top. So anyway, I'm a big fan. Hope that's useful. Okay. I'm sure y'all are, you will have discovered, and you may have heard from students who took my classes previously, but I always post all of my old midterm exams, and I've been teaching multivariable calculus, whether 219 itself or 212, which is an extremely similar course. It just doesn't have a linear algebra prereq. Basically the same course. I've been teaching these courses for many, many years, and I have tons of old midterms with solutions, all publicly available. So I hope you'll find those useful. Please do read this warning. A lot of students make the mistake of thinking that's good enough, that you can just study the old midterms. Now, I think it's a good way to study. It's a good, part of this nutritious breakfast. It's one element of a good study system, but it alone, it just isn't. So let that be part of your studying, but don't overbuy into that as a resource. Okay, take a look at what the ARC offers. Again, great organization. They have a lot of study tools. Study Connect in particular, I think is a great one. And at some point, click over to this visualizations page. It's a neat set of tools that the math department created a few years ago. They're interactive 3D tools, and when we get to particular topics in the class, these are helpful ways to help you visualize what some of the ideas are that we'll be talking about. Okay. All right, and then lastly, office hours. So this is just data, but you're going to notice that I have my office hours set to be immediately after my Section 1 class. It'll be in my office. And then I have another set of office hours that are immediately after my Section 2 and immediately before my Section 3. So I picked these office hours because these are times that are, one way or another, very close to our class meetings. So we will already be physically near. And so you can either, depending on which section you're in, either stick around a little after class or show up a little early before class, and everyone should hopefully, let me not overstate it, hopefully as many people as possible will have some access at least to coming to these office hours. So I hope that's helpful. If you have non-math questions, confidential discussion, perhaps if you want to talk about how to interpret your exam grade, or, something that requires a little privacy. How are you doing in the course? If you're thinking about withdrawing, if you're thinking about changing the basis from graded to SU, anything along those lines that, again, requires a little confidentiality, we can set something up, and I have a efficient little system here. You click on this and you answer a few questions, and I'll get back to you and set an appointment. Okay, I don't have Professor Bezemek's office hours yet, but we'll have that filled in very soon. Note in particular, you're welcome at all of the office hours. So not just mine. You are perfectly well invited to go to Professor Bezemek's office hours as well. And if they work better for your schedule, then you should absolutely do that. And vice versa. His students can come to my office hours. Okay, so anyway, don't forget, that's another nice resource that you're welcome to capitalize on. Then a few other things to say about schedule. Y'all can read that. Okay. All right, so that is the course website. I am going to click over now to the class website. So everything that follows applies to my section only. Okay, so in particular, let's look at class grades. So y'all will recall that per course policy, the midterm weights have to add up to 60, and here's how I'm going to break them down specifically. So 20, 20, 20, nice and simple. So every midterm has 20% weight. Again, per course policy, 30% for the final. And then that 10%, that's at my discretion as the instructor, I break down like this. So homework is 7% of your grade. That'll be your homework average. Some details down here about how homework averages are computed. Then 3% of the course grade will be attendance. There's a lot to say about attendance. A lot of such details down here. More details elsewhere that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So make sure not to underestimate the importance of these. Homework, it's only 7%, but that 7% can really make a big difference. So it's very important to take your homework seriously. Make sure to do a really good job. Turn in quality work. Don't just get it done. And make sure that your homework grade stays nice and high, because that 7% can make all the difference between one letter grade and another. And likewise, attendance. This sneaks up on a lot of students. 3% sounds like nothing. But if you just think through some arithmetic, it's roughly 1 chance in 3 that this could make a difference between one grade and a different grade, course grade. So it matters. And so please do plan to attend regularly. And again, further details about how attendance grades are computed is right here. Okay. All right. And follow through the little 4 examples. Okay. All righty. So moving along. Let's see. Here's the content syllabus again. Now, the one thing about this content syllabus, it's the same syllabus, all the same stuff. I've just reordered the sections. And in particular, I've reordered them to reflect how I will cover material. So you'll notice up here, after Chapter 3, I'm going to go straight into Chapter 5. I'm going to skip Chapter 4, at least, per the book ordering. And I will do Chapter 4, it's just that I'm going to do Chapter 4 later. I'm going to do it at the very end. And there's a good reason for this. Roughly speaking, the point is that this is the most challenging material in the course. Chapters 6 and 7 are beautiful, powerful mathematics, and challenging. And so I think it's valuable to get to that material as soon as possible. And Chapter 4 is a pretty easy set of topics to procrastinate. It's not prerequisite to Chapter 6 and 7 at all, and so it's easy to just kind of push it off to later. And so I think it's worthwhile doing that. It gets us to Chapter 6 and 7 earlier, which gives you more time to digest it, which hopefully will allow you to do better on the final exam. All right. Oh, and then let's see here also for reasons we'll talk about later. I like to interject 3.1 a little early there. It's not a big deal, but anyway, heads up. Okay, so I encourage that when you are looking at the content syllabus, go ahead and look at the one for my sections, right? Go ahead and look at this one linked here from the class webpage, not the course webpage. Okay. All right, let's talk about the class schedule. A lot of little logistical little details here. So this is how we're going to stay organized. So you'll notice that there's an entry here for, what's happened there? There's an entry here for every class meeting, right? And then I have for each class meeting a target. The target is my hope for where we will be in my lecture notes, what page of my lecture notes we'll be to by that time. And then what actually happens, and I'm not going to hit the targets perfectly, and that's okay. But what actually happens will get recorded in these corresponding cells over here. When we finish a book section, so for example, if on Monday, this coming Monday, golly, it's coming up soon. If on that Monday, if we finish a book section, then it will be listed here. And if on Wednesday we finish a book section or possibly multiple book sections, they will be listed here. And you'll notice that these are the cells, these are the cells that correspond to homework assignment number 1, right? Notice what defines homework assignment number 1 ends on Wednesday, not Friday, right? Friday is part of homework assignment number 2. Right, so you got to be very careful to pay attention to the lines. Anyway, these sections, whatever they end up being, will define what's assigned for homework 1, which will be due at 11 p.m. Eastern on the following Sunday. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I think it's pretty straightforward. Make sure that you're clear on all of those details. Most cases, homeworks will be due on Sunday. The idea there is I might as well give you the weekend. So during the week you can focus on learning the ideas, understanding the exercises, and maybe cranking out the ones that you can just crank out, right? But hopefully maybe more focus during the week on understanding and learning and understanding and figuring out how to do it, and then rather than staying up super late on Friday night trying to get it turned in, I mean, what's the point there? I'm just going to let you have the weekend to actually write it up as might be needed. Okay. All right, a couple of exceptions. You'll notice that there is a Friday due date here. This is because there's an exam on Friday, and the fair game material for the exam is material that, because it's fair game for the exam, then you should have done the homework in time to benefit from that before the exam. And so that's why it's due on Friday. Case could be made, conceivably could have possibly wanted it to be due on Thursday, but I decided to, again, give you a little flexibility there. But do make sure to keep in mind this material is fair game for exam 1, so don't wait until after the exam to do it. It's just bad strategy. Okay. All right, let's see a couple other things. You'll notice here have some comments, various comments along in here in purple. Nice, pretty color. These are comments that I think are little bits of advice that are timely at certain dates. And so, for example, you'll notice that for this date, I think it's worth noticing there is a midterm exam coming up in just 2 weeks. And you should be very comfortable with the material so that you don't have, you don't want to spend this Wednesday and Thursday frantically trying to learn 5 weeks of material. It's not a good way to learn. And so anyway, this is just a reminder that, it's coming up, and hopefully you're not collecting large amounts of material, procrastinated, unlearned, unfinalized, that will accumulate and sneak up on you and drown you before the actual exam. So things like that. Anyway, pay attention to these comments. You're going to notice quickly, by the way, in class that I like to play some music before class starts. I usually get there 15 or 20 minutes early. And the classrooms these days, they have these nice video and audio systems installed into the classroom, and I have to connect my computer anyway because that's how I teach, through my laptop. And so we might as well listen to some tunes. So I've put together some playlists. My strategy on music selection is that it's all music that I love, and music that, while I know many of you are probably previously familiar with it, some students might not be. So I'm trying to. Not that you haven't heard of Frank Sinatra. I know, right? I know you know who he is, right? But anyway, the point is, you may or may not have actually listened to a bunch of that. Who knows? So anyway, that's what that is. Anyway, if you listen to music in class on a given day and you decide, hey, I really like this Dave Brubeck guy, then you've got the link right here, and you can click there. And I don't know how Spotify works exactly. You can probably, copy the playlist or whatever. Anyway, okay. You will notice holidays listed on the calendar, right? You'll notice exams listed on the calendar. And furthermore, the final exam is listed on the calendar, right? So these are all set, and make sure that you have those documented on whatever calendar or organizational system you use. And then notice the colors. So what I have in green here, the use of the color green here is to indicate which of these will have been filled in to be section numbers, which sections of material are fair game for that exam. So the green stuff indicates what's fair game for exam 1, yellow for exam 2, blue for exam 3. This material right here, what's going to be in orange, tragically, it's the class meeting before the last midterm exam. I don't feel comfortable putting that on the midterm because I don't feel like that gives you enough time to prepare. So that will not be fair game for any midterm. But you'll notice my color choices down here. Notice I did put the orange here. So that material, even though it's not fair game for exam 3, it is fair game for the final. So again, heads up. Okay. All right, lots of details. Let's see here, class materials. This is a lot of good stuff in here. All of these are things that I will be using in class. So let's see. Oh, I need to update this organizational notes file. I'll do that before I send this recording out. Let's see here. You'll notice that I have my lecture notes right here. So you can click on that. It'll download 200 and some odd pages of my lecture notes that are exactly what I'll be teaching off of in class meetings. I hope that this will be useful. I know it would have been for me when I was an undergrad, to be able to focus on the discussion and not have to focus on transcription, copying down what the professor is writing on the board, on a chalkboard. I always found that to be very inefficient, anyway, I hope you'll find these useful. I would encourage you to figure out how to maximize your use out of those lecture notes. You might, for example, have them up on your computer during class, and then maybe in some application that'll allow you to annotate during class. Whatever works best for you. You might want to print them conceivably, and then write with a pen. Whatever you want to do. Everybody's different. Okay, and various other things, these other files will get used incidentally, and I just find it convenient to have them in a folder so you can have access whenever you want them. Okay, let's see here. Moving along. Classroom rules. This should be pretty standard, I would think. But there are a couple things to notice. Attendance is required. And you'll notice I put in red, on time. When you come in late, it's a little disruptive, and you really shouldn't do that. So please try to make a point of being on time. In particular, when we check attendance, the attendance check will happen at the very beginning of class. And in fact, the way we're going to be doing it, there's a lot to read. Make sure to read all this. We'll be doing attendance by way of quizzes on the Canvas site, and those quizzes will disappear 2 minutes after the class start time. So, heads up, you do have to be on time to get credit for the attendance. Okay. All right, so other stuff to say about that, a lot of logistics. Make sure to read all of this. By the way, we won't be starting attendance checks immediately. It's while the class roster is still settling, it's a little bit awkward. But we will, pretty early on, second week or something like that, we'll start with those quizzes, and I'll send an email announcement, and you can't possibly miss it. Okay. So please be on time. Very important. It presents problems when you're not on time. Details to be discussed there. In particular, the way maybe I have some sort of condition. I don't know, but disruptions it interrupts my train of thought, and it makes me lose track of what I'm saying in the lecture, and it just slows down the presentation, and it can make me forget to say certain things. So anyway, I appreciate your cooperation in helping me try to deal with that as much as possible. Some discussion about talking in class. Y'all can read this, but anyway, just make sure to read all of this stuff. I do think this is all very important. And let's see, here's a discussion here about asking questions. And there's a lot to say about what kinds of questions are appropriate for the classroom and what kinds of questions are better for office hours. This is all of my opinions on the subject. And so, again, please make sure to read all of that and factor that into how you'll use class time. A bunch of discussions about exams and homeworks, a lot of logistics, but also some stuff about, grading and, this kind of thing. So, again, all very important. How regrades work, discussed here. Blah, blah, blah. Homeworks. Going to be going through grade scope. A lot of details. Y'all probably know a lot of this, but, again, make sure to read all of that. Let's see here. The exam curves. This is how you will make the conversion from a raw exam score to your actual score. Your grade, your 4-point scale grade. And that's blank right now. You'll see there's nothing in there, but eventually it'll be indicated, for example, that a student who gets an 84 on exam 1, that'll be, I don't know what that'll be, but whatever, depending on how hard the exam is, et cetera, there will be a number there like, 3.73 or something like that. What grade, that will be averaged in the weighted average. How does the 84 count will be indicated explicitly right there. And it'll be sort of a continuous curve. There's not going to be, cutoffs. It's not going to be a range of scores that all count as 3.7. Every individual possible score will have its own individual curved grade on the 4-point scale. Okay. And these will be, again, filled in as we go. Okay, a good page to read. This general advice. I don't know what happened there. Good stuff. Again, how to do well in this course. Things that I think make a difference. A discussion here about working together on the homeworks, for example. Make sure you turn in your own work. This, I hope, is clear. Right? Anyway, a lot to read here, how to study, how to improve your performance, and various other things. I think an underappreciated point, get good sleep. I know the college lifestyle is not particularly supportive of the idea of getting good sleep, but that's really unfortunate. Sleep is super important in being able to perform at your best. So think about time management and make some tough choices, etc. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Look at how much stuff that is. You got to read all that. It's too much for us to talk through, but all of that I think is useful advice. Schedule advice. A bunch of good stuff here about how to organize your time. Again, too much for us to go through, but read that. Make sure to understand. And then some useful links. Link to Gradescope. Presumably you're familiar with Gradescope. Link to my YouTube channel. This is where I will put my recordings. Let's go ahead and click on that. Let's see here. And then we'll go to playlists. And you'll notice that every course that I offer is a playlist. So, for example, last spring. Click there. Oh, whoa, I didn't mean to do that.
Rent a car.
Oh, gosh.
Fleet yet. Your new car never has to know.
Gosh, I did not mean to press that. Okay, let me try that again. Playlists. I better do this more carefully. Okay, let's see here. View full playlist. I hope the recording is still working. Let me double check that. Yeah, it looks like it is. So these are all the recordings from my recent spring classes. And you can click on any one of these and watch that recording. And in particular, we're going to have a playlist for what's going to be right here, except it'll say 2025 fall, and all of the recordings of all of my class meetings for this fall semester will be in that playlist. So anything that you want to review, it'll be right there. And I strongly encourage that you make good use of that. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, here we go. And then again, early announcements. So this is currently empty. There's no announcements there. I have some discussion here for those who joined the class late. There's some logistical issues with that. This is a process to follow if you join the class after I send this email that you probably received and thereby started watching this recording. If you join after I sent that email, then you'll need to go through this process. Okay. All right. So that's the website. So we've talked through a lot about course operations. We talked about the content syllabus. We talked about the class schedule, class grades, YouTube recordings. Let's see here. Let me talk about this time annotations. I think this is a really cute idea. One of my students came up with this. I think this is brilliantly simple. But for example, here's some of my lecture notes. And one part of the problem that's being addressed here is keeping track of how the axle of a wheel moves as a bicycle wheel rolls along, and the location of that axle is given by this formula, and we'll talk about the details of why that is and where that comes from during class. But let's suppose that maybe during class you didn't follow part of that, right? And I assume that this will happen at various points. That I'll say things that maybe you just don't immediately understand. You want to make a plan for when are you going to go back and learn that material again. When are you going to go back and give that another listen, right? Rather than spending our very limited class time repeating, saying the same thing over again so that you can have another chance at understanding. All you have to do is just make a plan to go back and watch the recording again, and you can get that second pass through, right? Without, again, eating up valuable class time. So my suggestion for how to do this, you'll notice that in the bottom right of the screen, there's a little clock down there. That clock is part of what is recorded on the class recordings. And so it says here 12:31, so I would suggest that you just do this. Just write 12:31 and then maybe also write the date. Let's see, today is August 21. And so just write that down just like that, right? And then at some later time, a few hours after class, maybe a couple of days after class, whenever you can get around to, coming back and hitting that topic again, you know exactly where in the recording to go to. And you just keep clicking forward until you get to the, appropriate. Again, this clock will be recorded as with the screen recorder. And so just keep clicking forward until it shows 12:31 from the recording from that date. And boom, there's that discussion again. And you can just listen to it to your heart's content. I think this is a really, really effective, again, brilliantly simple, right? Easy thing to do, but powerful because it allows you to get right to, you don't have to go hunting through the recordings to find what you're looking for. This will take you right to it. So strongly encourage that you make use of this idea. Okay. All right, now a few philosophical things to discuss. We've already talked about some of this, but this is a course about ideas and reasoning. That's what this course is about. So this is not what a lot of students are accustomed to. A lot of students are accustomed to courses being about, look, if you get the right answer, then that's all good. But that's not how this course works. We're moderately interested in answers, but it's just not the point. And again, there are formulas to know, theorems to know, various different conclusions, facts to know. And again, you have to know that, but it's not the point. We're interested more, somewhat in the conclusions and the facts, but also in the reasoning, right? Why are those facts true? Why does that formula work? Why is that theorem true? Not rigorously, not from a point of view of proofs or anything like that. This is not a proof class. But having some reasonable sense for where it comes from. Is what this course is about. So you're going to notice this in the lectures. It's going to be pretty hard not to notice in the lectures. The lectures are going to focus on ideas and reasoning. That's what the course is about. That's what's going to help you solve problems on exams, right? Yeah, sure, you're going to have to know formulas and theorems. Yeah, you're going to have to crank out and get answers, of course, but the thing that will allow that to be doable is your understanding of fundamental ideas and your proficiency with reasoning with those ideas and reasoning about those ideas. So again, that's going to be a really big deal on the exams. In fact, not just in terms of problem solving, but in terms of grading. How points are awarded is going to be based on, right, your reasoning and what you communicate about your understanding of the ideas in question. And whether you get the right answer, right, the answer is not where points come from. Whether you wrote the formula down correctly, that's not where points come from. Maybe a little bit, right, partial credit or something. We're going to be largely looking for, trying to get into your head and see what you understand, right, in terms of the ideas and how that's demonstrated by your reasoning. Okay. All right, so when you are working on assignments, and as you learn the material, make sure to focus on these things. Make sure to focus on the ideas and the reason. Make sure to understand why things work the way they work and why algorithms are what they are. Try to really get it, and that's what we're going to be interested in. So if you focus on that as you learn, if you focus on that as you do the homeworks, then you'll do well, as well as you can on the exams. Okay. All right. So I think it's a huge point. Please let this inform your entire approach to the course. I think it's super duper important. Okay. All right, we've already talked about this second one somewhat, but we'll hit it again here. There's just not enough class meeting time to learn all the material in class, and some classes have the luxury of covering, ultimately less ideas, easier kinds of reasoning, whatever the case may be. Most, if not all, of the learning can happen in class, and that's just not our situation. So make sure to again, we've already gone through it, we've already talked about it, but how to do well in this course, and then specifically course design and strategy, right? So make sure that you are super duper comfortable with what these expectations are for how you will learn the material, and again, make sure to incorporate that. Make sure that informs how you approach the course. Can't be emphasized enough. I'm going to say as well. This is one of these is so important. Both of these things. Both what the course is about and how is the learning going to happen. It's so important. If you don't really quite get the point, maybe, of some of this, come talk to me about it. I'll be very, very happy to discuss. No problem. Just come let me know, and I'll be happy to explain in further detail or from a different point of view or whatever. But make sure that you're good. Make sure you really digest all of that stuff. Okay, couple of last little things. This is just a little hodgepodge of I think cool ideas. This was something I did a lot when I was an undergrad and a grad student. Maintaining a list of questions. I did it on a piece of paper because, there was no internet. There were no cell phones. That wasn't a thing. But y'all will have a better system, I'm sure. Whatever you want to do. And frankly, if you want to use a piece of paper, there's something nice and simple about that. But anyway, however you do it, I think it's a great idea. Maintain a list of questions whenever you're studying and you find something that you don't understand, add it to the list. And that'll be your reminder when you go to the help room or when you go to my office hours or when you are talking with your study group or a friend or what have you. Once you feel like you do understand it, you cross it out. Right, and so so this will help you to keep track of what you need to work on. I think it's a great idea. Again, big fan, former practitioner, and hope you find that useful. Again, don't forget about the course resources. Let's see. Again, I'm a big fan of study groups. Strongly encourage you to do that. Try to create dialogue. Kicking ideas around basically is a great way to uncover misunderstandings, to find answers to things you were looking for, to find things you didn't even know you didn't know, right? Just kicking stuff around. Great way to learn. Last point, I think this will be the last point. And again, it's about the homework. Don't just view the homework as something to get done. Don't think of the homework. I mean, it does count as part of your grade. It is partly an assessment, but I encourage you not to think of it as being an assessment. Don't think of it as a way that we're testing your understanding. The main motivation for homework is to give you practice, to help you learn. It's part of the learning process. So think of it as practice for how to do well on the exam. Think of, as you're writing out your solutions to homework questions, that's your opportunity to rehearse how you will write mathematical reasoning representing your answers to exam questions. And this is a non-trivial thing, right? How to explain mathematical reasoning takes practice, and homework is largely that practice. So again, please take your homework seriously. Don't just chicken scratch and then answer, right? Try to take some pride even in making your explanations flow naturally, make sense, etc. So show all your work, right? Explain your reasoning. make it flow naturally. Try to do, as good a job as you can, and this will help you do better on the exams. And of course, it's, again, tempting to say, well, homework is only 7%. Why does it matter that? It doesn't even matter that much. Well, the exams are 90%. And that's what matters. And homework is practicing for the exams. Okay. All right. So I think that'll do it. Thank you for your patience and listening to this recording. A lot of logistics, again, I think are really important, have to get said. Don't have time to do this kind of thing in class, but I do think it's important that it be, pointed out and discussed. So this is my solution for that. I'm looking forward to working with y'all this semester. See you on Monday. And, have a great remaining couple of days here getting settled back into campus. And, welcome back. See you soon. Okay, bye-bye.